This is a Global Original Podcast. As you can hear from the echoey sound of my voice, I'm recording this from the room that the government stores its common sense in. There's nothing in here. These clips follow on from last week's podcast when we were in Easter of last year and there was a disruption afoot. First off, a weather forecast that is so nice it may upset you, followed by the fate of the boat that sailed the high streets.
Leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
Nobody knows who the hell he is. Is he crazy or is that just the way he acts?
Both. 0345 60. I don't know why I'm giving the number out. It's a nervous tick. As traditional hotspots in Europe are hit by rain and cooler temperatures, London, mate, hit 25 centigrade today. Wow! It seems warm, but I don't know what centigrade is in the summertime. So you double it and add the 32 to get proper temperature, old pounds, shillings and pence. You know, when we had control and weren't under the auspices of the evil European overlords. Double it and add 32, so double the 25 is 60, and add 32 is like hot. Very, very hot outside, and temperatures are expected to get hotter tomorrow, reach into the 20s every day this bank holiday week, with Tuesday seeing the first dip below. I am stunned. It's hot at Easter. Can you believe it?
No.
At 25 degrees centigrade and 77 Fahrenheit, it was the hottest day of the year so far, but it could reach 79 tomorrow. Good grief, people are going to be exploding. 79 degrees to tomorrow, a little bit warmer. It's going to be one louder tomorrow. Temperatures in the UK outshining many other countries across the continent, including a lot of those in the EU, including Spain and Portugal and Italy, all of which are in the European Union. There's another reason to get out. We just want Brexit. Large parts of Spain were hit with showers, and Portugal and Italy too, wherever they are. They were also in Britain's shadow temperature-wise. A Met Office forecaster says it's going to be dry and bright and sunny for nearly everybody this week. No, not this week, this weekend. When people go back to work, the weather's going to get worse. Isn't it always the other way around? How bizarre. Temperatures are expected to get into the 20s every day for the 4-day break. It's likely to be the warmest Easter Sunday since 2011 and the warmest Easter weekend since 1949. And it's all thanks to global warming.
Thank you.
But don't get carried away. It's not all sunshine and roses, because by Wednesday it's going to be raining and cooler.
Damn it!
You know, a little bit of nice weather around about this time of year. I mean, that February blip that we had, that was just very, very unusual. That was just odd. But around this time of year, you get a little bit of warm weather and you think, oh, finally I can put away the jumpers and put away the thick duvet. No. It could be snowing by next week. According to official figures, nearly 10 million people were due to head off on an Easter break yesterday, and they're probably still in a traffic jam caused by a pink boat in the road, which has now been removed. The pink boat's gone. I thought it was rather jaunty myself, and like I was saying yesterday, it did bring a certain civility to the West End. Not in its immediate environs. I skirted around it because I didn't want to get harassed by the police. Hundreds and hundreds of people have been arrested by the law. They don't know where to put them anymore. But as I was saying yesterday, the difference that the protesters in the middle of Oxford Circus made was that all of the West End was people-friendly. There weren't no cars, apart from a few confused cabbies who really, what were they doing? I mean, how can you be a black cabbie in London and not know that there was a protest in Oxford Circus? There was a whole stream of them who were going down Oxford Street when I was trying to skirt around the protests. And looking at the goings-on with confusion and bewilderment. Hello, is this thing on? Can you hear us? That pink boat, the Berta Casares. What does that mean? Berta Casares. It was finally carted away. Crowds made up of protesters from the Extinction Rebellion group attempted to prevent the police from removing the ship. This is great. They were chanting, "We've got more boats."
Groovy.
I was the wrong button, by the way. I keep mixing those two up. I put them too close together. Not groovy, goofy. We've got more boats, they said. And that's good. I mean, we'll all need them when the tide comes rushing into our living rooms, which should be, by my watch, in about 30 years from now. Put it in your diary. Apparently it took a team of engineers with more than 200 police officers and a mountain of equipment to remove that tiny boat, which had become a symbol of the protest. Organisers said, and you know, Dame Emma touched it. And who knows where it is now? Probably crushed into a small cube. Organisers said that on Easter Monday they planned to expand the protest to include picnics picnics on motorways.
Warning, warning.
Yeah, very bad idea. For safety's sake, make sure you use the picnic lane. Police arrived at midday to start attempting to remove this boat, which took several hours because the protesters had attached themselves to it. They were very attached. High-vis jacketed officers formed two concentric rings. Well, it's like A-level maths. Concentric rings. Can you picture it? Concentric rings of high-vis jacketed officers. Okay, now groovy.
Groovy.
And they shepherded protesters away. Yeah, in a horizontal position while they were screaming, in a lot of cases. Crowds of people watched the operation to remove the boat while drumming and chanting. I don't know why that's funny. It just is. I mean, it's like Glastonbury with less grass.
Want to score some pot?
After the final protester was removed, specialist officers climbed aboard and took down the mast. They have specialist mast removal officers.
Yes.
That seems a bit specific, don't it? The boat was then connected to a trailer and it sailed off into the sunset. Never to see water again. If indeed it had ever seen water. The Extinction Rebellion people, or XR as they are styling themselves, they've closed key routes through the capital, cost businesses tens of millions of pounds in lost revenue, inconvenienced 500,000 people a day, and resulted in at least 682 arrests. That's what the Daily Mail says. That's it, word for word. Cost businesses tens of millions in lost revenue, inconvenienced 500,000 people a day, and resulted in at least 682 arrests. Now, by contrast, you know, for a little perspective, too much bleeping perspective. When the last tube strike occurred in 2017 in London, the cost to businesses topped £500 million. Not tens of millions, 500 million. And there were no arrests at all. And that protest was about getting more money for some of the best remunerated, unskilled workers on earth. The Pink Boat protest was actually about saving the earth, which I would say was a little bit more important. But I suppose you think that makes me a fascist.
Correct.
Organisers said that they've seen an increase in people joining up. You know, maybe it was the warm weather, maybe it was the Easter holiday, maybe it was maybe it was the drumming and the chanting. And it could have been something to do with that David Attenborough documentary about climate change. And you know what? Until David Attenborough started to speak about this, he was enjoying practical saint status. And now he's an enemy of the people, to the kind of people that don't actually care about people. And people have been concerned about this for decades, but they were dismissed as cranks and weirdos and buried under an avalanche of bad press and distorted truth paid for by the fossil fuel lobby, who enjoy unlimited time with government ministers whenever they wish to make their case, which is usually a case stuffed with cash. They can spread the lolly about because they've got all the money in the world that the bankers don't own. Climate advocates, on the other hand, have no money at all. And remember, this movement was started by a school person, a school girl, a teenager. The founder of the millions-strong global movement of school strikes against climate change is called Greta Thunberg. She's just 16 years old. She's coming over here. And she's going to join the protest this weekend, if indeed she hasn't already. And I hope that this is Greta Thunberg, and I hope they greet her. Terrible. I know. Awful. I'm embarrassed. Meanwhile, Emma Thompson, Dame Emma. I don't know, that's just ridiculous, isn't it? Dame Emma. What? Don't get me started. She said it was nonsensical to blame her and the Extinction Rebellion, the group behind the protest, for potentially diverting police resources from tackling violent crime, which is completely correct in every respect, because the police don't have a spotless record in that regard, and didn't before that pink boat hoved into view. But as she's an actress, she's not allowed to have an opinion on anything. The only people who are allowed to have opinions on things are the permanently furious who spray their poison all over the internet. That's true. Only non-experts that no one has ever heard of are allowed to express an opinion. Say, non-experts who no one has ever heard of. Coming up, how the French would have dealt with the pink boat people.
I feel lightheaded. That's what I feel.
It must be the lack of oxygen in the air. Angela says, I think that part of the problem with climate change is the current obsession with cleanliness. What? As a child of the olden days, the 1960s and the 70s, we were lucky to have a bath and a hair wash once a week, let alone every day. Oh, really?
Disgusting.
A quick spit and a polish every now and... A spit and a polish? Quick spit and a polish every now and again has never done me any harm. No one stands next to me at the bus stop, but what price if I'm protecting the environment, eh? Good work, Angela. Mickey says, in layman's terms, there's no proof to confirm that mankind is responsible for catastrophic climate change. Okay, well then let's just forget about it. Oh, well, if there's no proof to confirm it, Mickey, you know more than everybody else, so I guess the protest is off. David says, I noticed the Extinction Rebellion activists are almost entirely within the 18 to 30 age group. In light of this depressing world the older generation has stuck them with, I suggest these demonstrations may be masking something deeper. What? Old people don't care? They've had the care beaten out of... Oh, there's more. He says, the cost of living is now outrageously high. Rentals are extortionate. The ever-rising costs of gas and water and electricity, transport and mobile phones is almost criminally high. Many of those who are in work, especially those married with younger children, have... God, this goes on and on and on. I'm not saying it's boring, but, Many of those who are in work, especially those married with younger children, have to struggle to put enough food on the table. The younger generation sees their futures ever more hopeless as more and more jobs are gobbled up by robots and computers.
Absolutely.
Damn, I hit the wrong one again. It was very close to...
Affirmative.
Which would have been a computer. Never mind. We'll start the show again. Anybody want to do that?
No.
Can you keep your tweets and emails to, just one paragraph? I've only got so many words in me. Ipswich, hello, Gary.
Nick, I was thinking that boat in Oxford Street, if that was called the Rainbow Warrior, the French would have blown it up by now, and these are the sort of people we want to be associated with, because they like sort of anything that's environmentally friendly and trying to help the planet. The French would blow it to Kingdom Come.
Yeah.
So they would have.
Well,
got rid of it.
I'm not sure that's the case anymore. That used to be the case. Well, one day it was the case.
Yeah, but it wasn't nice what they done many years ago.
Everybody under the age of 40 is going, what are you talking about? History books.
Well,
you're going to have to go and look it up in the history books. I know that sounds a little bit dull.
Boring.
I reckon that anyone under the age of 30 probably has that indelibly in their mind that this was done.
Well, they probably got it. They probably got it on a tattoo.
Yeah, but when you think about it, all the youngsters that are involved in this cause and whatever, I do understand why they're doing it, but I wonder if they're going to accept the extreme measures that will take us to change it round so that we actually can live a proper life.
Well, if I had to bet, I would say that they are more inclined to accept those restrictive measures than anybody else. But as no government is going to actually put forward those restrictive measures, we can just forget about it. If the world is going to die, then it's going to die, and no government is going to do anything about it, because the people don't want to do anything about it. They want somebody else to fix it for them, but they don't want to actually change their lives.
Well, people just don't like truths, do they? If you tell someone a truth that hurts, they can't accept it, and you get accused of frightening people and
Project Fear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is the terrible thing about life today. You can't actually tell someone to their face the truth.
Yeah.
You have to, I don't know, spin it a bit to make it sound.
You have to pop it in an email.
Yeah.
Nobody talks to each other face to face anymore. Everybody's waggling their fingers at their phones.
But more and more people, I think, as time goes on, more and more people, we should be living in a community atmosphere. More and more older people should be living in community areas and whatever, and things like food, heating, energy, and they're all coming through the one system. And instead of having about 50 people in a block of flats that got all different bills and whatever, maybe they have a community bill.
Well, it sounds like student accommodation. What, everyone's got to share their own kitchen? Well, that just leads to 15 little cartons of milk, each one of which has somebody's name on them.
No, that wouldn't be like that at all. I'm talking about having a community area where they have people employed to cook and to look after.
Oh, you mean a hotel?
well, yeah. If that's the way you'd look at it, as a hotel,
yeah.
But it would make life easier for a lot of people that are going to be struggling to pay their bills later on.
Well, let's hope that they get the old person thing sorted by the time that we become old people, Gary. But I'm not holding out any hope.
Aren't you there the same as me? You're the same age as me, I believe.
Yeah, so being old is way off in the distance. Nowhere near us.
How's your car coming along? Because I heard
it's not
collapsed.
It's not coming along. It's sitting forlornly by the side of the road.
But you're the sort of person, upwardly mobile, well-paid job. Dude,
I work 6 hours a week.
Oh, yeah. Oh, come on. You're on the government payroll. I often think you're on the government payroll because...
I'm a government stooge, yeah.
Yeah, because there's a couple of you guys on this radio station that are on the government payroll.
Yeah, me and James O'Brien.
Anti-Brexit. Yeah. You're paid to chuck out this well,
because I keep saying such great things about Theresa May. You've rumbled me. I'm a conservative down to my booties. Yeah.
But you should have a modern car. I would have thought.
Well, guess what, Gary? I do have a modern car. If 8 years old is modern, because I just bought another one because I couldn't be without a car. Because and I had this weekend in mind because last weekend I came in by train and coming in is a piece of cake. Going back out again at 1 o'clock in the morning, very, very difficult. In fact, virtually impossible. And it puts another hour on me getting back home, and that means that I get back home at about 3 o'clock.
Stop whining.
I'm very, very tired. And so I thought, there's no way on Easter that any of the trains are going to be running. So I thought, I've got to do it right now. If I'm going to get a car, and I need one, so I can't wait, I've got to have one immediately. And I thought about renting one for this weekend. But I get very nervous when I rent a car because you think there's going to be some dink or some scratch that was there before that they didn't mark down on the little piece of paper that they're going to do you for, and it's going to that £300 rental over the weekend is going to actually cost you £3,000 because they say, you scratch the wheels there, and there's a dink in the bonnet, and the inside smells, all that sort of thing. Got to fumigate the entire car. So I thought I've got to do it right now, and I bought an 8-year-old car.
So you're a what if? What if something happens? You're not really much of a chancer, really, are you? Would take a risk or anything?
Well, I think buying an 8-year-old car is a bit of a risk, isn't it?
Not really in this day and age, because if it's a diesel car did you buy a diesel?
I'd have to be out of my mind to buy a diesel. The government has got a war against the diesel car. No, I had to buy petrol because the other thing is the ULEZ charge. This phony thing that the mayor is pretending to do something about the quality of the air, whereas actually nothing will come of it at all because all modern cars get a pass. And so if you but if I'd bought a diesel, then I'd had to have bought a newer diesel, because I think it's 2010 or something like that, or maybe 2013 or 14. After that year, diesel cars get a pass with this ultra-low emissions zone charge. But petrol cars, you can have a much older petrol car. I think after 2005 you're okay. So I couldn't afford a newer car. I had to go back in time 8 years, and a diesel car that's 8 years old would still get charged, but a petrol car that's 8 years old wouldn't. So I went petrol. Plus, it's better. I mean, I don't want to go around sounding like a tugboat. Who does?
But you're the sort of person that should have a plug-in car, an electric or a hybrid.
I would love to have a plug-in car. My plug-in baby. Like Muse. Get Muse on the phone. They'll sing it for us. Rock and roll. But they haven't.
You're helping the car industry.
Yeah, but they haven't sorted the batteries out yet. If you go on a motorway, as I do regularly, to go and see the folks, and it's 50 miles there and 50 miles back, you wouldn't get there and back and tootle around the shops and so on one charge. So I'd have to hook it up to the grid for 12 hours just in order to come back. So that's until they sort batteries out, I can't buy an electric car.
I'm sure you're going to get lots of people phoning you up now telling you that you can, because...
Elon Musk can call me up and give me one of his cars if he likes.
Okay.
All right, thanks a lot, Gary. Cheers, mate. Steve says, I was on the side of the protesters at first, but I'm losing my respect. Loseing. I'm going to be very, very strict about spelling. Because I'm terrible at it. I have a book out, and there's... I still don't know how this happened. I'm going to fix it. I should have fixed it already. This is how idiotic I am. I could have gone online and fixed it immediately. I saw that there was a problem, but I didn't. Moron. On the very first page, I think it's the first line of my book, there is a spelling mistake. Oh, no. Yes. But it's not both versions. I think on the E version, you know, if you love trees, Yowza, you can get an E version of a book to read on your Kindle or other device. I don't think there's a spelling mistake in that one, or it's a grammatical error. But I do think... Well, I know that there's one in the printed paperback version, and I don't understand how that's possible, because you just cut and paste one version for the ebook and one version for the paperback. I don't know how it's happened, but it has. But I should fix that immediately. Where did that message go? I was halfway through it. Oh, no, here it is. Nick, I was on the side of the protesters, but I am losing my respect for them now. They have made a point, got people talking, so they need to stop now before they lose public backing. But I think good for them. I mean, I really do. If the vast majority of the world's scientists who've taken whatever that dust was that I got a face full of, it's still with me.
Whinging and whining and moaning.
I think that years have been knocked off my life. What could it possibly have been? Oh, God. Hang on. What on earth could it have been? I think it was some sort of poison that somebody was surreptitiously trying to get rid of that would have cost them a lot of money in poison removal fees. I think they just went to the local dump and tipped it in a skip, hoping that no one would see them do it. Unfortunately, I got a face full of it when I was trying to do my bit for the environment by chucking my bricks away. And that was about a month ago now, and I'm still coughing. God. Maybe it was some unused Novichok. Oh, me? No, of course not. Why would you say this? 0345 6060 973. You can text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. Or if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. But if you want to contact me, do it straight away, because I might not make it to the end of the show. Coming up, I talk about the new old car I bought, little realising that I had bought a clunker. I know now, but didn't know then, that a noise that I describe it making meant that I was in for a world of hurt.
I am not one of your fans!
What I've noticed most of all about I can't really call an 8-year-old car modern. Not really. but it's moderner than my 20-year-old car. And boy, has car technology come along in the intervening period.
Yes.
Yes, it has. The new old one feels like it's dancing on tiptoes compared to my old car. And it's the only car that I've driven in 20 years. I've only had one car up to this week. I bought it in the year 2000, and I've driven nothing else ever since. So I don't know what any other car feels like, apart from some rubbish, like a van I hired once to move stuff. What stuff, Nick? None of your business. So it's a real revelation. All you have to do is touch the brake and the car stops. Who even thought of such a thing? You just dab the accelerator and it lurches forward. It's actually quite frightening. Whatever you want it to do, it does it straight away, rather than thinks about it for a couple of minutes and then hoiks up its petticoats and charges for the horizon. In my old car, you want it to stop, you've got to give it notice in writing. Yeah, it's a bit alarming. I'm not quite used to it yet. Steve says, oh no, I read that. This says, please stop being annoyingly hilarious. It's Easter and I'm trying to be solemn. Trying to be solemn for Jesus. Pete says, I'm really proud of my 16-year-old son who's been 16 years old. He's been protesting. It took me 6 hours to get him released from police custody yesterday. He was looked after well by the police, says Pete. Isn't that awful? About him being arrested, I mean. I blame the parents. He's calling Catford. Hello, Steve.
Hi, Nick. Yeah, you've got me thinking. This is an aside before I get on to my main point. Modern cars are so... partly, I think, why people are so horribly rude on the road, and modern cars are so comfortable. It's not almost as if you're not driving them. You know.
Yeah.
I know,
and yeah, I'm completely insulated from the outside. The outside.
Yeah.
I can't even hear the engine very much. In fact, the engine makes a strange noise. It sort of whooshes rather than rumbles and shakes
and
like the
yours
old
is
one
8
does.
years old. I mean,
Yeah.
People driving these blooming great 4x4s. I don't know. I think, as you say, that they're insulated from the.
Well, they're so high up, it must feel like they're flying.
Yeah, and I mean, my car's 18 years old, and I'm sticking to it. But yeah. Anyway,
once you get used to a car, I think you just expect all cars to behave like that, but they don't. Newish cars, they're just so responsive and delicate. I don't mean fast. I mean if you just touch the brake lightly. It's the force of the stopping is enough to pull your face off.
Yeah, but anyway, these guys in central London, hooray! I love them. It's made me think, and the best thing for people like me, Joe Public, out here in Catford and God knows where, is to make us think. And what these 10, 15 years ago, I would have been going, you sandal wearing, muesli knitting, beardy weirdo,
yes,
idiots, you know. But now, no. The evidence, and I'm not an expert in anything.
Well, if you were an expert, Steve, nobody would be remotely interested in your opinion. So please go ahead.
Exactly. So David Attenborough and all the scientists in the world, apart from the weird ones, seem to agree that this is quite a good thing. And it's made me think, and it's made me. I mean, my puny little efforts that I've always been a slight sandal wearer. You know, I've always been a little bit. You know,
I think it's called being considerate, Steve. I mean, you talk about putting your stuff in a bin rather than throwing it near it when you're out, that kind of thing, and recycling your paper, that sort of thing. Yeah, you feel a little bit closer to God. Am I right?
Yes, my parents did teach me not to drop litter and be polite, etc., etc.
Yeah.
And I've always tried, but now I've really thought about it, and I'm approaching 60 now, Nick, which is an impossible sentence. I cannot.
I know.
believe I've
Where
just
did the
said
time
that.
actually go? It's just mystifying.
Well,
I mean, the last time you looked at your watch, you were 17, and now you're practically 60.
yeah, and so I agree with these people, and I think we've got to stop, and we've got to consider, and the gaiety of nations, a pink boat in the middle of Oxford Circus is nice.
Well, I'll repeat my assertion yesterday that the lack of traffic in and around the centre of London was a marvellous thing, and somebody should look into making that permanent. Well, I think that somebody did, and they decided against it, and I want the name of the moron who decided against pedestrianising Oxford Street, because whoever it was needs to be thrashed.
Yes, he does. Yeah. And I mean, all right, poor old Emma.
I mean that metaphorically, by the way. I don't mean an actual thrashing.
Well, I mean it actually. I know. They should be beaten. But poor old Emma Thompson. I mean, poor.
Well, in which regard is she poor?
What am I talking about? Well, in no. God, but,
rich and lucky. Which part of that is poor?
Yes, but because she flew back, and for God's sake, she can't get on a broomstick or.
Well, it don't make no difference whether she was on that plane or not. That plane was going to fly. It makes no difference.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, God bless them. That's all I can say.
Okay, well, it sounds like you said it, and plenty else besides. Good work. Thanks a lot, Steve. 0345 6060 973. Jack says, whatever substance it is that you inhaled must be similar to what I breathed in from a cloud of dirty diesel yesterday, and I haven't felt right since. Hey, one thing that I do notice about this new car is it doesn't smell so bad inside. Maybe it's because I haven't been living so long inside. Rude. No, I mean, it doesn't suck up. It must have like a filter or something on the air intake, because the old one certainly doesn't. Maybe that's why I'm coughing so much. The old one. It felt like I was French kissing the exhaust of the car in front all the way into town and back. It's terrible. But this one, it smells lovely. It smells. It's got that old car smell. Jane says, perhaps you are suffering from fumes from your new mattress. Well, that also smells. That was about a month before that stopped stinking the place out. And it came with, it's one of these mattresses that comes in a box. It comes about the size of a matchbox and expands to vast proportions when you release it from its sleeve. And they said on the instructions it will take a day or a few hours to air out for the smell to go away. Liar! Yeah. It's weeks later and you can still barely get in the room, it stinks so much. Billy in Sutton says, I take the train every week from Surrey to central London, and on a daily basis the train service causes more disruption in my life than these protesters. The difference is I pay £300 a month for the privilege. £300 a month? What? Wow. That is awful. Yeah, let me repeat that. In fact, I tweeted a video. Thanks to Anna and Anushka for bringing this video to my attention. It was excellent work. I think the guy's a comedian, and he started out at the scene in Oxford Circus, doing the usual news report, saying, these dreadful hippies are inconveniencing people from going to their stores and buying stuff from Topshop and all that business. Well, the Daily Mail was taking that line. It says, tens of millions of pounds have been lost by local businesses and blah, blah, blah. Well, restate my case. When the tube strike was on last, the very same newspaper was saying that £500 million worth of lost business had been caused to London by a tube strike. And that was just about giving unskilled workers at the front of a train more money, even more money. Please don't call in telling me what a tremendously skilled position it is, because you just sit there and you press a button. That's it. Anybody could do it. Could train my dog to do it. Mark from the Isle of Wight says, Why didn't Dame Emma and all her protesting pals vent their feelings outside of all of the embassies like China and India, etc., instead of turning Waterloo Bridge into the Edam project? Cheers. That's because this isn't China and India, Mark. Chinese and Indian people are going to have to protest over there. Chinese and Indian government isn't going to pay attention to a protest in London outside their embassy. What do they care? Let's concentrate on what we can do here. And so what if we're the first country to be doing anything about it? Well, we aren't. But say we were. If we act unilaterally, well, maybe we'll shame other countries into doing something about it. I'm sure Denmark is easily shamed, and Norway and Sweden. Maybe not the United States of America, because they have an orange ape in charge at the moment.
Oh, shut up!
I'm just saying. He seems unshameable. Yeah, that whoosh that I was talking about that my car made, that turned out to be a major malfunction that I spent about a year trying to get the second-hand car dealer who sold it to me to fix. Car engines don't go whoosh. And on that mechanical fact, that's it. If you subscribe to this podcast, you'll find the next episode gets squirted up your life as though by magic on Mondays. And if you want a laugh, don't forget the podcast that I do with Carol McGiffin, which I think is properly funny. We have a right good time doing it. It's called What's Your Problem with Nick and Carol, in which the delightful and often wrong Carol McGiffin and I try to solve people's problems while laughing our faces off. If you would like us to have a bash at your problem, then send it to the following address: nickandcarol@global.com. nickandcarol@global.com. And prepare to be completely satisfied. And I'm back on the air Friday, Saturday and Sunday night at 10. And until then, I'll be seeing you.
Bye-bye.